Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fusion Podcast, the destination where you can connect with professionals in all aspects to enhance your day-to-day life and your future. You will be enlightened with 15 to 30-minute interviews with these professionals, followed with a DJ theme set to brighten up your day. Excited for our journey together here at Fusion Podcast. Welcome to the family, and now presenting to you yours truly, your host, myself, Andrea Arenas Vasquez, also known as Ace Fusion. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6. Welcome back to this another Fusion Podcast episode. And today we have a very special guest. We have Jenna Roby from Boston. Yeah. Whippa. This amazing individual is going to blow your mind today. For those of you who have a life and they really want to be able to get financially fit, but they just don't know the ropes, so they don't know the right guidance, the right resources. This amazing individual with multiple careers, event organizer, a dance instructor from all salsa, bachata, merengue, does it all. It's just like, how does this individual does it all and is still be able to find success in different aspects of life? And today I wanted to welcome you, this special individual all the way from Boston, one of my great friends, Jenna Roby. What's up? How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for inviting me, Ace. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to just have some time to talk to you because I miss you so much.
I miss you too. I'm super happy to have you here. And I know that you have a lot of value and a lot of amazing nuggets to give to the world, because Fusion Podcast is about giving and enhancing everyone's day-to-day life. So someone right now listening to you right now, can you please share a little bit about you, and can you get a little bit into about how this financial fitness success came about? Because I know a lot of us may have student debt loan, and we may have a lot of just financial habits that are not healthy and could possibly put us in a position where we don't know what to do. Can you share with us, some of the struggles, just your story, your background? What do you do? How do you do it? And just please take it away. Thank you so much, Jenna.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I like to preface all of my talks about this stuff by saying that I'm just a typical human. Like, it's not like I went to school and studied this. I'm not a numbers person in terms of finances. I went to school to be a teacher. I'm a language person. I teach Spanish, and nothing to do with finances. But that's something that I like to have this conversation, is because if someone came and approached me about being financially free and financially fit, and they just spoke numbers to me, I would not relate to them because I don't think that way. And I think for a lot of people, it's about recognizing the everyday person, because many of us struggle with debt. Many of us are in a financial situation that we feel could be better. And so I like to just speak and let everyone know this is not my specialty in any ways, but I am an example of some everyday person who was like, I don't want to be in debt anymore, and I want to get my financials in order, and made it happen. So I talk to those people who are like, oh yeah, that's totally me. So that's what I'm doing today, and I'm really excited about it.
Well, that's awesome. But can you tell us a little bit more about what you do along with the financial success that you have been able to achieve? And then we can get a little bit into how you were able to make that happen, and what was your main resource, and a little bit of your planning and how you got there. How long did it take you? Because I know a lot of people right now listening are like, wow, like I know it probably takes, like you said, it takes a lot of work, a lot of discipline, and we need to know a little bit about that, because right now I'm also learning about this being financially fit. Especially now with the pandemic, a lot of people are trying to find ways to either make more money or try to find ways to really, kind of scratch off this debt that they may have had, because now they're not going out, they're not buying food outside as much. Some people may still have, but they're not really going out as they used to. So they have some room to pretty much make it happen.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I originally lived in St. Louis and moved my way to Boston when I was 18. And basically had to figure out how to do things on my own. I went to college and graduated and ended up being a public school teacher, which we know obviously doesn't make the most money. So I was teaching and had a lot of loan debt. So then someone had approached me and said, hey, like, I really like the way you dance. I used to just go out to clubs literally 6 nights a week to keep my sanity during working full time and also being a full-time student. So they're like, hey, I like the way you teach bachata. Like, there's this new night that's opening up downtown, and we would love if you could come out and teach. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really think I'm a teacher with dance. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. But with a lot of pushing, I ended up doing it. And so I'm now also wearing the hat of a dance instructor about 8-9 years later now. Wow, it's been a while.
You're a phenomenal instructor, by the way. I love going to your classes.
Thank you. So yeah, and so something that basically turned into a hobby for me, basically turned into a second full-time job, and I didn't even realize it happened until it happened. And I met my dance partner in 2013, and I think that was about like 3 years after I started dancing. And you know, we would just like get together, play around with patterns, do a little bit of this and that, and people liked it and started following us. And here we are these years later, having, you know, multiple teams, having worked with multiple worldwide instructors, lots of training and teaching our own classes. And that for me has been super important because my family is not from around here, and the dance community has become like an extended chosen family for me. And that's something that was always important, was to grow a sense of community here in Boston in the dance scene. And so I'm a big believer of, if you're complaining about something and the way it is, do something to make it different. And I always wanted more bachata dancers here in Boston. And so I was like, okay, well, I might as well make them. So that's what I do.
Wow, wow. And when that happened, the second full-time job, so you were already a public school teacher, middle school.
I teach
and
8th
then
grade.
Wow, that's
13-year
amazing.
olds, everyone. They're a treat.
And then after that, you found a second full-time job. Now, when did you realize that moment when you were like, you know what, I had enough. I want to be financially fit and I want to make a change in my life. When did you realize that for you was like enough is enough? Because I know sometimes we all have that point of our life when something is enough, you make a change and you start to do things differently, have more discipline with all aspects of life. So can you enlighten us when that moment came? So after you got your second hat of a career, congratulations for that. And then what was that? What was that like, that transition to becoming financially free and paying all that debt? Because I know you showed us numbers before and you shared your story. Tell us, I know people are really, really excited to hear about the big number and then it just becoming like gone, you know, like
for sure.
How's that even possible?
Well, so funny story is, you know, for anyone who's ever gone from being a student to having a full-time job, my first paycheck, I felt like the richest person on the planet, because I was like, oh my God, this is so much money. And, you know, that whole first year of my job, I spent it all. And then I realized much later, a couple years later, I wanted to buy a house. And I was like, you know, this is something that, you know, people my age should be doing, is, you know, I'm financially fit, right? I thought I have a career. I graduated from college. And so now I'm going to buy a house. And then I went to start looking at properties, and I went for pre-approval, and my numbers guy was like, yeah, you don't make enough money because you have too much debt. And I'm like, well, you know, everyone has student loans and that's normal, right? That's what everyone says. You're supposed to have debt. You're supposed to have credit cards. You're supposed to have all this debt. That's normal. Everyone has it. And it was that moment that I realized, like, wow, like this is something that I just thought was always going to be there, but it's holding me back from the goals that I want to make and that I want to reach. And so my numbers guy was like, yeah, well, I was like, well, what do I have to do? And he's like, yeah, you have to pay off all that debt or pay it down so we can actually give you enough money to afford the expensive homes here in Boston. And so I'm like, you expect me to pay all this money? I had like $72,000 in debt from student loans only. Yeah.
Wait, can you repeat that number, Jenna?
Yeah.
Can you repeat that number, please?
72,000,000. Yes. Dollar signs. And I just thought, you know, it's normal. Like most people graduate with student debt. And honestly, I know many people that have way more than that. And I added, you know, credit card debt on top of that from paying for books because I couldn't afford everything while I was living in college. And so that was the moment where I literally cried because I didn't know what else to do. I had my parents were going through financial issues as well, so I didn't have anyone to lean back on. And here I was, like, trying to pay for my rent and realizing that, like, what am I going to do to pay off these loans? And I'm never going to be able to own a house. And I had this moment where I hit rock bottom. And then actually someone that I saw all the time when I taught dance at the place I was teaching gave me a book. Coolest thing ever. I'm telling you, life changing. This is why, like, I have to do this for other people now, because it's my way of giving back. This guy, he gave me a book. He gifted it to me, and it was a Total Money Makeover from Dave Ramsey. And he was like, hey, you should take a look at this. I know you're, like, working on your financials. This book changed my life, so just read it. And I was like, I don't even read books. Like, I'm a teacher, but I don't really read. I think I've read, like, maybe and completed 3 books in my entire life. Don't tell my teachers. But yeah, so I was like, okay, I'll take a look at it. So I start reading this book, and I have never read a book so fast. Like, I literally couldn't put it down because it was like he was speaking directly to me. Everything he said made sense. And the one thing that resonated with me, or 2 things. For anyone that knows Dave Ramsey, if you don't, look him up. But he says, he has 2 main sayings. And the big saying is, live like no one else so you can live like no one else. And that, just let that resonate for a second. You have to live like no one else so that you can live like no one else. In other words, you need to sacrifice for whatever it is that you want, even if no one around you is doing it and you seem completely crazy and out of your mind. Just by putting that time into sacrifice will then later allow you to live in a way that everyone else dreams about, but it can actually attain. They just have to do that sacrifice up front. And for me, it was that, and him saying that the only way to get out of debt is when you get so mad at it that you decide to acknowledge its existence. And that was another one that was like, wow, because everyone's like, I have debt, you know, it's normal. And it wasn't until I realized that the money, imagine this is what made me so mad. Maybe it'll make you mad too. Check your numbers. If you have school loans or credit card debt and you're making those minimum payments, you realize that for years I've been paying these and I owe just about the same amount of money that I borrowed. How is that even possible?
Wow.
And then you realize interest rates. Hello, interest rates. It's a simple math thing you learn in school, but like until you actually apply it to your reality, you're like, wow, this is ridiculous. And that got me so angry, because here I'm like working hard, making these minimum payments, and they're basically exactly the same as when I started. So frustrating. So that was the moment I was like, okay, we got to change this. What am I going to do? And his whole idea just changed my life.
Wow. That's just amazing. So you didn't put that book down, and that book is called what? The Money Makeover?
The
With
Total
Dave,
Money Makeover
the
by
Total
Dave Ramsey.
Money. So remember, the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually
Ramsey, yeah.
seen Ramsey. So I've actually seen a couple YouTube videos with him, and he is just straight up honest, and he definitely goes into also the psychology portion that if you're not mad, like you said, if you're not mad about your numbers, there's not going to be a change, because
yeah, and
because
totally.
people really need something behind why they want to, be financially fit and financially free, because there's a difference between people who have, like, for example, if they're like, some people live paycheck to paycheck, some people live paycheck, they get a paycheck and then they save, but they're not paying down those loans, and it's just like they're just playing with the numbers of, what is it, the interest rate. So you basically have that debt for a very long time, and some people may not be penalized, or your credit score may not be affected because you're paying the minimum. But it's just like, now when you're about to make a big decision like buying a house, that's when you're like,
you got smacked in the face.
You're like, really? So I have a 700 credit score, but you have all this debt, and you may have like a job that pays you just about right, just for you to be like, nah, we're gonna turn you away because your debt is too high, even though you get paid good.
Mm-hmm.
you still can't buy a house because,
Yeah.
you know, living
Yeah,
in
that's the point.
Boston, living in New York, you know what I mean? So, but that's
Struggles.
crazy. So throughout that time in your specific 3-4 years that you sacrificed, what could you tell someone who's about to make that decision or picks up that book, and what are some struggles that people are going to face when they make this decision, and what are some, you know, psychological things that they have to be aware that they're going to be facing? Like, what did you
Yeah.
feel? Did you ever feel like out of, like, you know, like, did you ever feel not fitting in with other people? Like, because I know that must have sucked
Oh,
to
yes.
just be your friend inviting you, hey, let's go out to, you know, let's go somewhere, and you were like, sorry, you know, at first
Oh
it was
man,
probably hard and then you got used to it.
I could sit here and tell so many stories, but yes, there's so many feels that go through this whole process, and it goes back to his whole saying, like, live like no one else. Like, you want to go out for drinks? Nah, I can't go because I know that y'all drink way more than me, and we're gonna have to split a check. And I'm like over here just ordering one thing or the cheapest thing on the menu because I'm trying to save money, but I
Or
don't
just
want to
water.
tell y'all that. That's what I'm saying. Just no, really though. Just water and whatever's cheap. I'll get an appetizer. You know what I mean? Because and don't ask to just split evenly because I'm over here trying to save money. But you don't want to tell people that, you know? So you would go through that. And eventually I just gave in and was like, look, y'all, I'm trying to save money. Yeah, I can't. And it was that moment. Oh, that and my mother. I love my mother to death. We have the best relationship, but I would always tell her, Mom, I can't, I'm broke. And she's like, what do you mean you're broke? You're not broke. You make blah, 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 so much money. And I'm like, yeah, Mom, but you don't understand. Like, if I'm trying to do what I'm doing, I say that I'm broke because I don't have money to spend. I have money, but I'm using that money that I'm making to pay off my debt. So eventually I can buy whatever I want and be financially free. But right now I'm saying I'm broke because I don't have fun money to spend. That's what I call it, my fun money. So there was like a lot of emotions with that, of just trying to explain to people what that was like. And honestly, it's going through the process. And or I'm telling people, you have to confront your debt. If you truly want to get out of it, you have to confront that it exists and admit that you don't like it, and then work towards getting out of it. And it's funny because in the book he says, you know, it's like, we all know, it's common sense how to lose weight. If you want to lose weight, you just have to take in less calories than you're burning off, right? It's common sense. Same thing. You want to get out of debt, you got to spend less money than you're earning. Everyone knows that, but most people, it's just not that easy. And it's the psychological part that gets you. So it's about, and I like how he says, you have to take your money and pay your, like, you control your money. Don't let your money control you. People that live paycheck to paycheck, which was me at one time, literally before we even get the check in our hands, that money's already gone because we owe it to so many different places. So we know we're not getting any of that money. But the second you can say, okay, this money, this dollar, I'm telling you, to the dollar, every paycheck, I know every single dollar and where it's going. I'm paying myself some fun money. I'm paying my bills. I'm paying off whatever I got to do. And I know where every single one of my dollars goes. I also know myself and know that I'm terrible with cash. So I'm not going to carry cash because I'll walk into Target for some tissues and walk out with no money and not be able to tell you where it
Oh
went.
my
And I
God,
know there's
yes.
people like that. So I do not use cash. I have everything digital because that's just the way I work. But you have to know how you work. Like, and you also have to reward yourself along the way. So something that I told myself, if I'm going to sacrifice all this time, I need to reward myself along the way. And so I had this goal that when I finished paying off my loan debt, but I still had other debt to pay, that I was going to buy myself a massage chair because I'm a dancer and I work all day and my body hurts and I need that. Right. And so I rewarded myself, but I
Right.
worked for it first, you know, and if I know, I always talk to dancers, right? We're talking to dancers, you know, you want to go to them congresses, right? So don't tell yourself, you can't go to no congresses this year because you got to pay off your debt. Like, reward yourself. Say, okay, you can go to one congress, but not 20, right? And because you're
Right.
working really hard, then go to that one congress and then get back to what it is that you're working towards. But it's, you got to give and take a little bit. And it's emotional, but once you surround yourself with other people that also want to be financially fit and also are there to support you and understand, like, then you feel like it's possible. Because if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses all the time, because so-and-so's got this fancy new car and so-and-so's got this, then that's not what you need to surround yourself around, because then you're going to stay that way. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot, but you said 72,000. That's just
Yeah.
insane to me. And how many years did that take you? Just
I
curiosity,
think it
those
took me
listeners.
around, like when I actually got serious about it, I think it took me about 3 to 4 years to pay off my school loans.
And
And
while
yeah,
while you were paying this debt down, you had classes, you had your dance students, you had to go to work early in the morning and then come back, and you had a life.
yeah.
And I know you had a busy life, because knowing you a little bit more than most people that are probably listening, you,
Hmm.
again, you're a public teacher. You also have multiple teams directing with your dance partner,
Hmm.
Luis, who's amazing. I love Luis.
Shout out.
And
Well,
then you, shout out to Luis. And then you had to teach from time to time. You travel also outside of the states,
yeah.
outside of the
Right.
state, and you teach, and you go to also festivals, and you cater to these choreographies, and you also have done choreographies during these 3 to 4 years that you were
Hmm.
going through this financial transition and success story. Wow, like, can you please enlighten us, like, how did dance play an effect, and how did you use that to make probably your psychological aspect become, like, okay, I got this. I know I can't spend a lot of money, but I can spend time with my students. How did you
Yeah.
use dancing, or did you use anything, dancing, music? What did you use to face those challenges that you speak about, becoming financially fit?
Hmm. Yeah. So dance has been such a blessing for me because it provides so much more for me than I ever asked for. Just from going from being a hobby to literally a second income has obviously been very helpful. And I encourage anyone who has another hobby or passion out there to see if there's any way to make it financial, to bring in some extra money, because that's a great way to fuel paying off your debt, is by having a second income. And what better way to do it than with something you love to do? And to this day, it's hard to look at it as a job, because I love it so much that it's just been so, I feel so lucky to be able to do something that I love doing, and make money. But the traveling part was hard because, even being an instructor and having to pay for something just starting out, like we didn't have all of our airfares covered and everything, just trying to make a name for ourselves. And so we were like trying to travel, but and also trying to be present, but then all those fees started adding up. So it was a little bit challenging in that aspect. But um, even just traveling and taking my food, you don't know how many random checks at the airport
Right.
I've had because I would travel with food and they'd be like, "Excuse me, miss, we need to check your bags." I'm like, "It's just food." But just, I'm sorry, I can't afford those restaurants and those hotels during this Congress weekend, so I'm about to live off of shakes and treats. But so there were like weird little sacrifices like that. But honestly, just being able to teach and grow with my students and my community here in Boston has been really great, because it really did turn into a second full-time job. And once I was killing myself, let's just say it was when I really truly was like, I need to pay off my debt. I was doing too many things. Like I was waking up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, going to teach at school. And if anyone's ever worked with middle schoolers, just one middle schooler, one 13-year-old is a lot, but times like 100, it can be a
Oh,
tiring day.
ooh,
And I would go straight from there to the gym, because I'm also trying to stay in shape. And then I would go straight from the gym to the studio, and I would teach 2 classes and then do 2 team rehearsals. And I'd get out of there and I'd be so dead and realize I hadn't eaten in a long time. And then I'd have to go to sleep
wow.
and do it all again the next day. So definitely don't recommend doing that for a long time, because there is such thing as a burnout. But once, it was worth the sacrifice to now be debt free. And now I've gotten smarter with my time and have been able to organize things better, which I totally recommend everyone do, because your mental sanity is also important. And sometimes you just have to say no. So that's what
Right,
I'm doing.
right. Right, right. I look up to you so much, even more, because I remember hearing your story before, visiting you in Boston and you meeting your community. So loving, so caring.
Oh,
Everybody's
the
just
best.
so amazing. I love everybody in Boston,
But
and it was just inspiring to see what you have built with your dance partner, and then on top
mhm.
of that, all of the success behind the scenes that people don't know of you. I feel like this story, like people don't know you like that, and I feel like
Yeah.
this story itself can literally bring so much relief to somebody's heart and be like, if they could do it, if she can do it, then I can do it too, which is perfect for this
Mhm.
Fusion podcast. And I'm super happy and excited that people can hear the story. And I know people are going to have some more questions or may
Oh, I
want
hope
to
so.
literally connect with you, or maybe even if they
Please.
live in Boston, they may want to
Yes.
join Jenna and Luis teams.
Yes.
So how can
Yes.
people find you if they ever wanted to connect with you, or maybe ask you a question about how you were able to do this,
Mhm.
your financial fitness, and then your dance career, and then even if they were thinking of becoming a teacher, how could people connect with you? Can you tell us a little bit about your websites, maybe your upcoming event? That way we know we can connect with you.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm all over social media in so many ways. I'm kind of a quiet one, social media me. Someone over here talking to me right now, aka Ace, would always yell at me about my lack of social media. I'm not the best at it, but I am present. I'm on Facebook, Jenna Rovi. I'm also on Instagram. My private page is En Serio 23 or 23. And our dance page is Jenna Luis Bachata. We're also Jenna Luis Bachata on Facebook. We also have a website, jennaandluis.com. So basically, there's tons of ways that you can find myself and Luis as well. And in terms of finances, like I say this so seriously. If anyone out there is listening to this and is wanting to start this process, please reach out to me because my greatest joy has been giving this experience to other people. And I tell you, I've had friends that I've helped with this, and then they've helped their friends, and I just want to continue that train all the way down because there's so many, everyday people out there that can actually do what they think is impossible, and they just need someone to guide them through it. And it's totally doable. And so I can't say that enough because I went from crying on the couch to
Oh,
now buying my first place by
yes.
myself. Yes, which was huge for me, and especially in Boston. And it's so emotional to me because I look back now and think about where I started, and just looking here now. I mean, I still have goals. Like now I'm trying to pay off my mortgage super quick. But like I'm always looking to the next step, but it's just so nice to just stop and think like, wow, I did that. I did that.
Right, you
Yes,
did
girl,
it.
you
You
better
did
do
it.
you. You know what I mean? So like I really believe in like passing that on to other people and letting them know that it's possible. Because I'm telling you, one of my really good friends, she was like, I'm never gonna pay off these loans this quick. And I said, okay, let's sit down. Let's do this budget real quick. And I told her exactly when she was gonna pay it off. And I was like, and if you stick to it and you're even motivated, you'll pay it off sooner. And that's exactly what she did. So I have friends saying, hey, I just paid off my car. I now own it. Shout out to Faith. I got, hey, I just paid off my loans and am now living in my own apartment. Shout out to Amy. I have someone else that said, hey, I'm paying off my last big loan this year. Shout out to Kara Hovanesian. So I got friends out there who were just
Wow.
like me. And now, it makes that means the world to me. So I would love
Wow.
to be that for anyone, whether they know me or not.
So y'all already heard Jenna. She gave out the plugins with the amazing ways to follow her and her dance partner. Also, the information will be on the description. So please make sure to follow Jenna and Luis and Jenna en Serio 23. But
That's
now
right.
now there's a question that I ask all of my guests here at Fusion Podcast. And it's a very important question because I feel that because Fusion Podcast is conversation than music, how has music impacted your life, maybe your decision to become financially free, and how has that motivated you, kept you, in the positive mindset that you have? Like, can you
Oh,
tell us a little bit
sure.
about how music has, inspired you? How has it impacted your life?
Oh my goodness, and that's such a good question. I like to say that there's a song for everything. Like I'm always in my feels, and I don't share my feelings with a lot of people. It's mostly like me and my music, um,
Oh,
somewhere in a room. So I got playlists for days for different ways I'm feeling, and I've had songs get me through seriously difficult breakups. I've had songs get me through like I'm a bad bitch and I need to get my shit
right,
together.
right, right.
Like, let me feel strong real quick. Like, I literally have a playlist that's like, lift me up. Okay, play. Here we go. And those, it's just so nice that then there's music that brings you back to your childhood, that you hear that song and it takes you back to like when you were 12 and you're like, oh, you can picture exactly where you were in a moment. And,
Right.
not just with the dance career and making a living off of that and being able to meet new people and experience new cultures and travel to new places that you would never go just because of dance. Like music for me, it's everything. It's just all up in my feels.
I'm just really I'm just super like impressed with how you were able to just share this so effortlessly. But I knew this was gonna be such a
That's
successful,
because of
amazing
you, Ace.
episode. No.
I could
I
talk to you
love
all day.
same here, same here. And oh wow, thank you so much for sharing that with music. And definitely that's how I feel with music. Like I said in a previous episode with Angelica, I said music
Shout out.
could shout out to Angelica
Love you.
Medina. So for me, I said this, and I'm always gonna say this about music. Music is so powerful that like it could take you. You may not even notice it, but the people before us, our ancestors who created
Mm-hmm.
music with the instruments, and it all comes to like
Yep.
it's in our blood. Like it doesn't matter
Yep.
what race you
It's
are,
timeless.
what gender
Timeless.
you are. It's like
That's right.
wow, you can connect with like and then years later, even when artists that are singers pass away, their music forever will live.
Lives
And
on.
then
Yes.
their ancestors, it's just so powerful. And forever, that's why Fusion Podcast, I created it, because I feel like in my lifetime and in my mom's lifetime, you know, I didn't have the right resources growing up either, because my mom didn't have them. My mom was a
Yep.
17-year-old who had me. So for me, it was just like, what could I do if I was to be gone today? What could I leave to the world to come to be able to have, and enhance their day-to-day life? And I was just like, you know what? I could create a Fusion podcast that people could come back to, learn about, whether it's a love coach, someone who has a success story about being financially fit,
Yeah.
bringing in therapists into my podcast, and then heal them with music, because
With
that's what really
music.
happens in life.
Yeah.
Real
It
life
does.
happens, and then music is like right there, having your six, your back.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm
that's,
super
yes.
blessed to have people like you, Jenna, and I'm super
Thank
happy.
you.
If there's right now, if you could just close your eyes and then just turn yourself to the higher, and if you believe in anything, what is something in your heart and mind that you really want the listeners to take from today, and just in general, what is something that you may have last final words to tell the people who are listening right now, who may be going through something financially or just anything in general? Can you please enlighten us with this last quick couple minutes that we have here at the podcast?
Yes. My thing that I would say to everyone out there is that today, like right here in this moment, tell yourself, if you're not happy with where you are, that it is possible to get out when you make a plan. When you make a plan, and a plan is there for you to make it happen. And if whatever it is that you want, if you truly, truly want it, you can have it, and we can make it happen. Like it's totally doable. Totally doable. Seriously, that's it. You can do it.
Wow. Yes, Jenna, thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here. Congratulations and welcome to the family. I'm sure that I would love to have
Yay.
you in another episode. It's never a goodbye. It's always like next time we'll pick
Next
another topic,
time.
right? So
Yes.
real quick, I just want to let everybody know, after this amazing conversation, again, remember to stay tuned, because we have an amazing mix after this. Some of Jenna's favorite tunes, and then of course with a little twist of the DJ Ace mix
Yeah.
fusion. And real quick, don't forget, On Anchor, it would be the full conversation. But if you want to get the whole full experience, don't forget to subscribe to Ace Fusion Entertainment LLC on YouTube. That way you can get the whole experience. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to follow Jenna Roby. And we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
DJ Ace is in the mix.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I'll like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. The silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains.
Let's rock, y'all. Let's rock, y'all. What? Come on. Here we go now. Let's rock, y'all. Let's rock, y'all. What? Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Let's rock, y'all. Let's rock, y'all. What? Come on. Here we go now. Let's rock, y'all. Let's rock, y'all. What? Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Party people say, hey, it's a new day. It's a new day.
Here we go now.
Well, it's getting ready. Everybody ready, yeah. For a new day. For a new day.
Let's go. Let's go.
I woke up this morning thinking about the old me, when I was feeling like Miller Lite and OE. But now I ride on some conscious. I'm getting bread while I toast to my accomplishments. Only one like I have a problem with is myself. That's probably why my only competition is myself. From today to tomorrow, the doctor just rocked to the same drum. The past, though I ain't forgot where I came from. I got the club rocking. I got your girl jocking. Me and Phil still in this. We going the distance. Let you party people, come on.
Party people say, hey, it's a new day. It's a new day.
Here we go now.
Well, it's getting ready. Everybody ready, yeah. For a new day. For a new day.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hey,
viento. Mariposa, no regreso. Ay, mariposa de amor, mi mariposa de amor, ya no regreso contigo. Ay, mariposa de amor, mi mariposa de amor, nunca jamás junto a ti. Vuela amor, vuela dolor, que tengas suerte en tu vida. Ay, 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 dolor, yo te lloré todo un río. Ay, 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 amor, tú te me vas a volar. Dame tan solo un momento más y te diré lo que guardo por ti. Un corazón que de tanto esperar ya no quiere volver a latir. Quiéreme así como te quiero yo, a toda hora y sin reservas atadas. Dime que no para morir de una vez, como se muere en la ausencia del agua. Y eso es amor. Palabras del alma se despiertan para ti. Es tan solo decir la verdad. Palabras del alma se despiertan para ti. No podemos hacer del amor un adiós, por eso pido, dime que sí para vivir junto a ti, a tiempo entero y con tarjeta marcada. Dime que no para morir de una vez, como se muere en la ausencia del agua. Y eso es amor. Palabras del alma se despiertan para ti. Es tan solo decir la verdad. Palabras del alma se despiertan para ti. No podemos hacer del amor un adiós, por eso pido. ¿Qué? Ahora bailando. Vamos a seguir disfrutando. Ahora sí. Era una noche de fiesta en un sitio cualquiera. Ya comenzaba la orquesta y de pronto te vi. Entre mis falsos colores, la única estrella. La colección de mis sueños mirándome así. Con esos ojos intrusos buscaste los míos, para arrancarles el habla y volcarlos en ti, para que yo con todo comenzó bailando. Tu cuerpo me embriagó bailando. Entramos en calor bailando, bailando. Hicimos el amor, dejamos de ser dos bailando. El ritmo nos unió bailando. Perdimos el control bailando, bailando. Hicimos el amor. Este romance en el baile encontró su principio, y por el baile jamás va a tener un final. Pues cada vez que mis brazos te aprietan bailando, vamos marcando tú y yo del amor el compás. Y todo comenzó bailando. Tu cuerpo me embriagó bailando. Entramos en calor bailando, bailando. Hicimos el amor, dejamos de ser dos bailando. El ritmo nos unió bailando. Perdimos el control bailando, bailando. Hicimos el amor.
Dominicano soy, de mis raíces yo no voy a olvidarme. Soy bachatero y lo llevo en la sangre. Le canto a la amargue por la gracia de Dios. Dominicano soy. Yo por su amor
llevo un delirio que me enferma.
Yo por su amor
me merezco una recompensa.
¿Quién te dijo que no puedo acabar con tu atropello? ¿Quién te dijo que el dolor no tiene límites ni freno?
Has hecho de mí lo que has querido sin saber que es una injusticia ser esclavo en tu red. Y hoy te pongo una querella, que este abuso se resuelva.
Yo por su amor
Llevo un delirio que me enferma.
Yo por su amor
Me merezco una recompensa.
Yo por su amor he sufrido lesiones y varios perjuicios al corazón. Yo por su amor por el daño causado y te demando
Por un bicho. Románticamente Rolling.
y llegué con el cacique. Ajá.
hace leña de árbol caído. Pero con fe en Dios. Oye, Rubén, con mucho cariño, mi hermano. El chaval. Oye esa guitarra. Una y mil mujeres de mi compañía me daban placeres y me divertían. Producto de todo lo que yo tenía, pero en realidad nunca fueron mías. Escuchen, señores, esta triste historia que por este medio hoy les canto yo. No es algo ficticio, es un realismo de algo muy serio que me sucedió. Los amigos y mujeres que me divertían.
El famoso fantasma, el que de repente tú sueles negar. Quiero saber por qué de pronto tú me ignoras. Levanta el celular, solo no se va a contestar. Quiero saber quién te ha inyectado ese veneno que te confundió. Quiero saber el nombre de ese tal fulano que te ha conquistado haciéndote el amor. ¿Quién es el intruso que me robó tu corazón en un segundo? Él es culpable de que mis sentimientos hoy estén de luto. Él arruinó nuestro futuro en un segundo. No muy tarde tendrá su castigo por intruso. Zacarías Ferreira.
¿Qué gana estoy pagando el haber traicionado el amor que me daban por una locura? Qué estúpido fui. Ella fue una aventura, tan solo un pasatiempo. Con arrepentimiento sincero hoy vengo a pedirte perdón. De rodillas te
Esta que está aquí, 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 esta que está aquí no va pa' parte, esta que está aquí se va a dormir, esta que está aquí no quiere coro, esta que está aquí no va a salir, esta que está aquí ya se hizo un tubi, ay, esta que está aquí ya puso un té, esta que está aquí anda en una bata y de casa no se va a mover, esta que está aquí, 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 esta que está aquí. Esta que está aquí no tiene un chele y esta ahora le duelen los pies. Esta sabe que de aquella cama, ay, este cuerpo no se va a mover. Esta que está aquí hoy no quiere coro, no. Esta que está aquí hoy no va a salir. Esta que está aquí no tiene un peso. Esta que está aquí se va a dormir. Esta que está aquí, 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 esta que está aquí. Si quiere bailar, si quiere beber, mejor tráeme Roma a domicilio, en la calle no me ve. Si quiere bailar, si quiere beber, mejor tráeme Roma que a la casa, la calle no me ve. Si quiere bailar, si quiere beber, mejor tráeme Roma a domicilio, la calle no me ve. Si quiere bailar, si quiere beber, mejor tráeme Roma que a la casa, la calle no me ve. Esta que está aquí no va pa' parte, esta que está aquí se va a mimir. Esta que está aquí hoy no quiere coro, no. Esta que está aquí no está pa' ti. Esta que está aquí, esta que está aquí, esta que está aquí, esta que está aquí.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that mix. Thank you for tuning in with Jenna. Episode number 6. I'm super excited. I know we had to skip around Gadiel. He's got a little busy. But next episode will be episode number 7. Who will be Gadiel from Pero Like. But I know he actually moved into his own new ventures. So I'm super excited to have him this upcoming week. And can't wait to hear from you all. And see you all. Please let me know if there's a special guest that you would like for me to introduce here and get to know here together. Thank you so much all for tuning in again. And I'll see you on the other side. Yeah, Fusion Podcast.